computer. Cool. Word. Awesome. I am going to also now share my screen, and then we will get going. As with the last presentation, you will have an opportunity to ask all the questions you could ever possibly want to. And this is your opportunity to ask those questions because you have all not been resident assistants before. So please do not feel embarrassed. If you don't ask questions, you don't learn. So this is training. This is where you do not, this is a great time to be vulnerable, ask questions, learn. And of course, if you don't have questions right now, you can ask them in the future. Don't feel like if you don't ask questions now, you can't ask them halfway through the semester. I still ask questions. So please feel empowered to ask those questions. Otherwise, Renati, what else? Am I missing anything else?
I think you're golden.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool. So to start off, hello, everybody, again. What do you think it means to be an RA? So think of some words and type them in the chat box down below. It's next to the button that says share screen. Oh, sorry. All right, before we talk about RA anything, Jim wants to know about cereals. So,
that's right. Oh, goodness.
What is everyone's favorite cereal? If you want to use the chat box, you can, or you can be bold.
I want them to talk. Yeah, if you can talk.
I don't like cereal. I don't like cereal. Guys. All right.
Who doesn't like cereal? I can't see the chat.
I don't.
That's okay. You don't.
Is it okay though? Is it?
If I really have to choose, it's Frosted Flakes, but I really don't like cereal.
That's
Frosted
fine.
Flakes are
I
great.
made a
Take
list of reasons why I like cereal because you asked us to pick reasons.
That's fair.
Why we like our favorite cereal.
What's your top cereal? Mine's Cookie Crisp because it's cookies for breakfast.
Oh, my favorite cereal's Life.
Life. Okay, fun. Just the standard Life, Cinnamon Life.
Yeah, no, the standard Life. The taste's amazing. The name, short, sweet, simple. The shape is decent, and it's an anytime food. Like, you don't have to have it just for breakfast. Midnight, you can have Life. Middle of the day, you could have Life. Anytime food.
I love that the shape is decent. Not great, but it's a decent shape.
Squares are decent.
Squares are decent.
I thoroughly respect the description as to why you enjoyed Life. Like, I think that is amazing. It is not even close to my top 10, but I would try it because of how you described it.
For anyone who is wondering, Anthony runs a podcast in which he rates snacks. So like this is actually very real and to his heart. Like so.
It's called the emergency pod snack system. If you ask Siri, she will play it for you. So I feel very accomplished in that Siri will play my podcast if you ask her to. Frosted Mini Wheats, absolutely amazing. And it's okay if you don't like cereal. If you don't like cereal, what's your breakfast go-to? I know that there are two people said
right. I was gonna say there are two.
French toast is amazing. I love it. So many more dishes though than just cereal. Cereal's just a bowl and a spoon, but I like it. Ariana, what's go-to breakfast?
I don't eat breakfast.
Don't eat breakfast? Okay. It's the most important meal of the day. That's also propaganda. It was a lie. It was made by, I think, like the Farmers Union or whatever. Has everyone answered? Everyone who's wanted to speak about your favorite breakfast cereal has answered?
Oh, I didn't, but it's whatever. But I do need to ask Marquette. Marquette, what Captain Crunch? So there's only one right answer to this.
No,
the
real reason is the family, because like there's the peanut butter ones, there's the plain ones, and there's also like the fruit ones. So like you have like so many options in the Captain Crunch lineup. So I don't have a favorite. I would say it's just like the second one, like it's the plain ones, and then it's the one with the fruit balls in it. I like that one. That's what I have in my apartment right now. But it goes back and forth.
Oh my gosh. Well, my answer is in the chat right there. Barry's is the correct answer, okay? So whatever you just said, all of it, wrong.
Oops, all berries is fun. Okay. Well, so this is a great way. This you know a little bit about us. We're all crazy,
Right.
and you have to be a little crazy to be resident assistant and work in residence life. So we're happy that you're all here. Shout out to Pop Tarts, of course. The Fruit Loops Pop Tarts, actually, if you haven't tried those are very good. So
Oh, well, I was going to try them with you as co-host on the Pod Snack,
Just stop.
but
Stop.
me
You don't
and
need to do that with him.
Jim and I were supposed to record an episode as well as Renati and I, and we never did. So, oops, all berries. So using that wonderful chat feature, but now that I'm sharing my screen, I cannot see, so I'm going to rely on Renati. Yeah, what does it mean to be an RA?
So yeah, so think of some skills, qualities, personalities, whatever, then write them in the chat and we can go over it a little bit. What's going on? Okay, I see dependent and outgoing, teamwork, responsibility, yes. Be a role model, yes. People person, welcoming, good answers, good answers.
Oh.
You have a couple more by any chance? Open-minded, yes. Inclusive.
Definitely
Great answers.
inclusive. Yep. Versatile.
Oh,
Yes.
I like that one. That was a good one.
Gotta roll with the
Yes.
punches.
Mm-hmm. That's a fact. So yes, all of those are correct answers. You're gonna have to, be available at all times. Confidence, yeah, confident is a big one. Especially depending on where you are placed. Try to have as much confidence as possible to be able to speak to your residents and let them know how things go on your floor, within the building and on campus, within the community, and just let them know and hold them accountable. Availability is a big one because you have to watch out for your residents when they need you the most and whatnot. And yes, so good answers, everybody.
All right. So now we're going to talk about some basic requirements. So we want to make sure that you're modeling appropriate behavior because has anyone ever heard of the fishbowl effect? If you haven't worked in like a job on campus or have been a student in the past, you might not know, but as resident assistants now, you are all sort of considered to be in a fishbowl. And if you think about a fishbowl, if you've ever had a goldfish, you have an aquarium, you are sort of able to be viewed from all aspects. People know who you are. They know you're a resident assistant. And whether they know you specifically or not, they may know that you're a resident assistant, or their friends might be like, oh, that's an RA, be quiet, stop saying about whatever they're saying. So you are a role model to the residents. And so we want to make sure that your behavior aligns with both the college and the Office of Residence Life and Housing. Now, this is taking on some new sort of, there are some new implications with that based on COVID guidelines and the fact that we are now all living a lot of our lives online. In the past, people have found that their online interactions and personas can be sort of insulated from the real world because there is a disconnect between, the keyboard and the screen and your classroom. But that doesn't happen anymore because we are doing training right now digitally when before that'd be in person. So because you're living so much of your life online and it's occurring digitally, it is more important than ever to understand that who you are online is not a different part of you. It is you. And more importantly, it can never be deleted. Whether or not you delete the profile, you close your Twitter account or do anything, people can screenshot it, people can save it. It can come back to haunt you in the end. Your online persona is a reflection of who you are. The decisions, actions, and posts that you put on there can never be deleted. Now, we're not saying that you can't have fun. We're not saying you can't have a Twitter account we're not saying you can't have a podcast where you rate snacks. We just want you to keep in mind that before you post something online, I ask that you think critically and you ask yourself 3 questions. The first one is this something that I would do or say if I was in person? Because a lot of people can get that sort of, what do they call it? Like keyboard warrior, where like you're behind the keyboard, so you have a lot more confidence and you would never say something in person. So if it's not something that you would say in person, you probably shouldn't say it. Is this post true to myself and my values? Does it represent you? The whole you, not just the online you. And 3, would I be embarrassed if someone showed this post to me in 5 years? And or conversely, you can say, would I be embarrassed if someone were to show this post to me during a job interview? We've all heard that some people say that they'll go on Facebook and look at people's social media before a job interview. We didn't do that here, full disclosure, but it does happen. There are people that do that. So keep in mind that, what you post really might never go away. So there's also maintain good academic standing. We want to make sure that you have a GPA above a 2.25. So if you are having academic struggles, let us know, let your community director know, so that they can work with you to make sure that the resident assistant role is not affecting your student role, because you are all students first. We are super excited and super happy to have you on this team, and we want to keep you on this team. But if you can't be a student, you can't be a resident assistant. So we want to make sure that we're sort of following that line and okay there. And we want to make sure that you're not spreading yourselves too thin. Lastly, perception is reality. That's awfully ominous. If you are perceived by someone to be misrepresenting the resident assistant role, they will believe it to be true. So just please, again, be careful of what you say, what you post, what you might complain about. If you are complaining about something in a group of friends, they might take your word a little bit more strongly. They might take those words, and that could sort of change their perception, and then it changes reality. So just be careful of the way you carry yourself. Again, that fishbowl analogy. The other analogy we've used in the past is the resident assistant hat. As resident assistants, you will all wear many hats. Some days you may be talking to students who are having a mental health crisis. Some days you may be talking to students who are having a medical issue, may need a transport because of alcohol consumption. You will be wearing those different hats. The unfortunate part of that is you cannot take off any of them. You are at all times wearing those hats. And that is your role as a resident assistant. That sounds daunting. I promise it's not that bad. And it will be a transformative experience for us all. Cool.
So, supporting the office and college events. So, as your residents will rely on you to, help them throughout the semester and whatnot. The Office of Residence Life and Housing, as well as the college as a whole, we kind of look to the RAs to help out when, with certain, within your dorm, within your residence hall, I should say, and with on-campus events. So whether that be Accepted Students Day, Welcome Weekend, it'll be a little different as the semester goes along, especially with COVID being, a major obstacle with events and whatnot. But throughout all that, the college as a whole will look to the resident assistants to help. It all goes hand in hand with residence life, the office, and the school as a whole. So, yeah.
Community development. This one's Lots of words. So there's a lot that goes into community development. And of course, during all of our interviews, we've touched on all those, and you all were able to pick out certain things that you've observed your resident assistants doing and things that you hope to continue. And so there are many facets to that. One of the major ones is some of the four that we have here: programming, door tags, bulletin boards, floor meetings. Realistically, that's just a small part. There are a lot of different things, but this community development is great because it's an opportunity for you to connect with your residents as you provide social and sometimes always educational, but like it's not like I've mentioned, you're not teaching them algebra, but the things that you are doing will have educational effects on them, and it will teach them how to interact in a community in an effective and safe manner. While programming, door tags, bulletin boards, and floor meetings can be fun things, we do not want you to discount that there will be effort that goes into those. Through these community development component, though they may look differently this year, they'll be pretty similar to what they were in the fall. It's even more important to help residents feel connected because of the fact that there is so much less in-person interaction than we're used to. I remember during some of these interviews, we talked about how, students are wearing masks. You don't really know who lives in your hall because, the only time you see them, they're wearing a mask. Do they live there? Do they not? I'm not sure. So we really want to stress the ways that you can still interact with them, get to know them, get them to know you, get them to see you as a resource, and get sort of a community growing, especially now where you're all going to be joining in, where some of these residents will have had a resident assistant that is no longer here. We want you to be able to sort of get that new connection with you so that they look to you as the resource. Some of them haven't had a resident assistant the whole year so far, and they've been talking to other resident assistants. So we want to start this semester fresh and get them sort of looking to you as those pillars of support. So the way this works and the way it's going to have to work and the way it's always worked is us community directors, we're old. You all have the benefit of being young, around, always within the same age group as your residents within a couple years. So hopefully what they're going to engage with, what they're going to look at and see as something that they want to participate with. So the sort of the deal we have with you all is we will do whatever we can to support you, but we're relying on your creativity and your connection with the residents on a more foundational. You've had conversations, you know them by name, you know their major, you know things about them, and these are all things you learn. You're not expected to know them now, but we are hoping that you will take all of that knowledge and use that to create programs that they are going to enjoy and they are going to participate in. Create bulletin boards that will be educational for them and will be helpful to them. Like you don't want to have a bulletin board that may not be applicable for the population that you're in. So as long as you take that creativity, we'll give you the sort of tools to do it. And then in the end, the residence hall will be a well-oiled machine. It's very important, though, that you also make sure that you're paying attention to time management. You have to balance now already all the stuff you had to balance last semester, your academics, any extracurriculars you were already doing. Now you have to add on to it the RA role. So please make sure that you are factoring this in to your schedules and you are factoring it in and not spreading yourselves too thin, because that can be very detrimental to your success. So programs, there will be a training specifically on programs and what that looks like. You'll be expected to do 4 programs throughout the semester. Hopefully you have all participated in a program at least once already. And that can be anything from, leaving goodie bags at their doors. In the past, we've done they call it reverse trick or treating, but we don't really want you to knock on every one of your residents' doors in one night anymore. we've done stress balls and NCRH, which then of course one of them exploded, and then that was a stressful ball because I had to clean up all the Orbeez, to things like helpful study tips and helping students connect with other resources on campus, like the Career Development Center and a few other on-campus resources. Door tags, we talked about door tags. You all have some time today, I hope, to go on Canva and try and create a door tag. If you can't, don't worry about it. We can help you. We have a couple canned designs, but if you're creative and you really want to go that extra mile and make sure that your residents have that first little token of like, this is my new RA and this is what they've made for me, definitely Pinterest is a great way to find hundreds of designs. If you literally just look up door tags, that'll be a great way to sort of get you started. And all we need is a quick little design, send that to Jim and we'll get those printed for you. You'll do door tags every semester and for every new resident. So if there's any room changes, you'll do a new door tag. Bulletin boards, you'll meet with your new teams on Sunday and you will decide whether you guys are going to do bulletin boards as we have in the past, where it's one a month, educational components, but also artistic, or if you guys are going to do newsletters, it's going to depend on what your population really gravitated to last semester. And then floor meetings. So every semester you'll do typically at least 2 floor meetings with your residents. You can do more of that if they are perceptive to it, or especially if there are issues in the building. We've had it happen last year, unfortunately, with scholars. There were some issues that we had to meet with the whole building. We also had an NCRH last year as well, where if there are continued issues in a specific population, like say one population is, I don't know, always violating quiet hours, or always clogging the toilet, or doing anything that necessitates a conversation, we'll schedule those, and typically your community director will participate because it's always helpful to have them in those type of meetings. But typically there'll be an opening floor meeting where you will meet with all your residents, explain to them sort of what the semester is going to look like, let them know who you are, and then a closing floor meeting towards the end where you'll explain what the checkout process is going to look like. So this is just a small part. I know that sounds like a lot, but it's very doable. We've done it every year. So there is a model we use called the Community Development Model. It is a PDF and it will be uploaded to the training website. Remember, tinyurl.com/what's the training website. There's a resources button, which will bring you to a bunch of things. I will make sure the community development model is up there. You do not have to commit it to memory, please. But just read it, just read it on your time through over the next couple of days as you have some time. You're not going to be quizzed on it, but you are expected to be familiar with it, to be familiar with those requirements, because that sort of outlines a lot of the aspects of the resident assistant role that you have seen from afar and you've seen your resident assistants do. But of course, as you've never been in the role before, you wouldn't know specifically. So this will help fill in a lot of those blanks. And so I just ask that you read that as you have time. That was a lot.
Just a little. Alrighty. Let's see. So being available for your residents. So this will happen with the spontaneous wellness checks. It'll happen with, holding students accountable. So for example, quiet hours happens, you have to hold your residents accountable because they're violating a policy of the residence hall. It's okay to inform them or write them up, or because you're holding them accountable, and you need to keep the community as a whole happy. So being available outside of being on duty, because anything can happen at any moment in time, and being there for your resident is very vital to allow things to go smoothly, because if you're not there, in reality, you don't know what could happen. And so that's where time management does come into play, to make sure that you're getting a lot of the things that you need to get done complete. Let's see.
Can we ask a question of our wonderful new RAs? Who among you have used your RA in the past to help with anything? If you've reached out to them for maybe a lockout, anyone want to share any examples? You don't have to if you don't want to, but
I got locked out of my room last year and had to wake up my RA at 7 o'clock.
7
I-
o'clock. But I'm sure they were happy to help, weren't they?
Yeah, she was laughing.
At least it wasn't like 3 a.m. But those happen too. So yeah, those are little ways. Think about those ways if you don't want to share that you've reached out to your RA. Those are ways that they're going to reach out to you, and can really help create community and build community because then you'll get to know them. But always great opportunities. Anything else on this one, Renati?
And just know that like as much as we're in these COVID times, residents should still be used to seeing you in the community. So there should never be a time where a resident says, "Oh, I don't know who my resident assistant is. I don't know who my RA is." Because that is really bad because that tells us that you're not doing your job well. So
I would say it'll probably still happen though, because there are some space cadets that are just, you can introduce yourself to them 100 times.
That's all right. So if over half of your residents say that they don't know you, then that tells us that you're not doing your job well. Yeah, no, I think that's it for that.
Cool. All right.
If I could jump in, sorry.
No, you may not.
Okay.
Well, Jim.
What do you got, Jim?
No, I was just gonna say, just remember, I mean, it's cliche or like an old adage, excuse me, an old adage, right? But first impressions truly are important. So like, I'm not saying every single day of move in, you need to like check the roster to see who moved in and like go knock on their door. But it is very important to make sure that you do have some form of outreach in an expedient fashion, right? Like Anthony was saying earlier, like they need to know who you are. They might not know that their RA isn't coming back because a lot of RAs decided over the break, I'm not coming back as an RA, right? So you're you and be proud of that. And so go own it, let them know who you are, that you're there to help them.
Jim.
All right.
All right. Administrative responsibilities.
So, administrative tasks are important to various parts of the RA role, including duty, meetings, communication with your supervisor, opening, closing. Some examples of these include during duty, you're going to be incident report writing. If there are incidents, you'll have to document those, and we will have, so you have that homework for tonight. Watch your favorite TV show and write an incident report about it. This is going to be your first time, most likely, writing an incident report. So get creative, have fun. The way that I like to talk about incident reports is whoever's going to read them is typically your community director the next day, or whoever is going to handle the case. So they have no understanding of what happened during that incident. So try and encapsulate chronologically as many details as you can so that when they're reading the incident report, they know what you're talking about. So just a little insider tip for your homework. But you'll get a whole thing on duty tomorrow. You'll submit school dues. Some of you may have already done those as residents. You will be doing those as resident assistants. And then the proper use of keys. Keys are super important. So you have not yet, of course, received your resident assistant keys. You will get those after you meet with your community director and they talk about sort of how the keys are handled. So that is some administrative tasks there. There are some staff responsibilities such as picking duty, which we will all be doing in our individual staffs on Sunday. You will need to meet deadlines, attend staff meetings and 101s. The staff meetings are typically either weekly or bi-weekly. It depends on your community director. And then one-on-ones, the way I would do it is I do staff meetings bi-weekly and I do one-on-ones bi-weekly. So at least once a week, I was having a conversation with every one of my staff members at least once a week. For some areas, it may necessitate that you have conversations with them twice a week. So they will figure that out, but it's important that you are meeting those responsibilities and being available and not just saying, I'm not available Monday through Friday, at certain hours. If you have class, of course, you're not available. But like, we ask that you be as available as you can be, because if the entire staff tries to pick and choose and do things, well, that's how you end up with staff meetings Sundays at 9 p.m. And no one likes those. So if you are a little bit more flexible and everybody is flexible, that makes the role so much more easier for everybody. And then so there's opening and closing of the halls. We, of course, just closed the halls a couple months ago, and now we're going to open them next week. Filling out RCFs stand for room condition forms, and we'll talk about a lot of these acronyms in a few minutes. But you hopefully did those last semester electronically. Residents will be doing those again, most likely next semester. So in the fall, we will go back to a more formalized process of resident assistants doing those. But that basically just documents the condition of the room so that we know which rooms are ready for students to move in. We ask that you check your mail. You will have a mailbox in your community director's office. Flyers will go there, and then you'll be expected to hang those flyers up. So I ask that my RAs check their mail at least twice a week. And then, of course, we have group me's, which we're going to add you to group me's probably at the end of this meeting, because we need to put you in those. But if ever I put mail in a mailbox, I'll send out a group meet to all my RAs, letting them know to check their mail. And then respond to email. Please respond to emails as soon as you get them, because that makes everything so much easier. I usually joke and say that people with me, I'll either respond immediately, and I call that winning the email lottery, because I'll respond within seconds, or sometimes I'll respond like comically late. This is only with my friends. Work emails I respond immediately, but like, I've responded to my friends' emails like years later. And so please don't do that, because that will be terrible. But work emails always immediately. Cool.
So time commitments and communication. So as Anthony was saying, communication, please be communicative with us, answer emails. If you need to talk about anything, we are readily available, or if we're not, then we'll set up a time to meet, and we'll talk about whatever needs to be talked about. And that includes whether it's in a one-on-one or a staff meeting or whatever. Time commitments, things can be random, so try your best, as Anthony said, to be flexible. Other time commitments could be, office sponsored events, emergency readiness. Those would be such as snow days or something like that. And those, will let you know, okay, this is going to be a snow day. This is what, trying to have something planned. That's just an emergency readiness situation. RA selection and housing selection. You'll help out with that process in any way that you can, which we would let you know in advance. Requests to reach out to residents. So those are like intentional check-ins. So we would call and we would say, oh, could you check up on this resident for so-and-so reason? And you would go check on them, let us know, and we would do with that information what we need to do. And so just try and be as flexible as you can, answer emails as soon as possible, and be ready for anything, because at the end of the day, being an RA, you have to be on your toes and ready for literally anything that could happen. So
One thing that just popped up to me just with the emergency readiness is fire alarms. Whenever a fire alarm goes off, you are the RAs. Please make sure that any emergency responders, public safety, they know that you're a resident assistant and you can help them if they need access to keys, holding the doors open, helping people exit the building. That's one of those sort of things that probably do some better training on that. But just making sure that you're letting people know, I'm an RA, I'm here. And that's with any emergency. Doing your best to help the situation, because you are we all can't do everything, the community directors for every single building. So we rely on the RAs to be those eyes and ears and hands and legs. Other things to know. Oh, this is the org chart. So these are all of our wonderful faces. again, of course, I am Anthony Palecchia, he, him pronouns. Jen Maitino is the director of Residence Life. We met her during the welcome. You all may have had conversations with her in the past. She is great. If we don't have an answer, we go to her first. But if you have questions, you come to us first, and then we'll try and ask. We'll try and answer. If we don't want 59 people emailing Jen, then she'll never be able to do anything else. And then, of course, we've been speaking with Renati. Renati, your new role is too many words.
Yeah, intramural coordinator. So, and liaison to Residence Life. So I'll be doing a lot of being the bridge. I'll be the bridge to programming. Sorry, I almost lost my words. I'll be the bridge to programming from Residence Life to intramurals, or student engagement, I should say. My role with intramural sports can go hand in hand with Residence Life. You just have to be willing to reach out, and I have to be able to present the information to you all. So I will be around in certain staff meetings that you do have with your community directors, and I'll pop in, give you some information about what's going on. And I would hope that you tell your residents about this information so that they can, engage with the community and meet new people and everything like that, because at the end of the day, that's what this school does need. And yeah, so.
I'm just,
What?
oh, were you done? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. I didn't mean to talk over you, but I'm
Nice.
just realizing now that everyone else is outdoors in their wonderful pictures, and I'm indoors, which is
I'm
very
indoors
much.
too, don't worry.
Oh, yep, you too. Which is, and Jen, but it's very much my personality. I'm an indoor cat. I do not go outside, but apparently all these guys go out hiking and have fun. Do y'all want to introduce yourselves again? And let's talk about our areas too, because so I oversee North Campus Residence Hall and newly North 84.
Stop.
Which is
Stop. I hate that.
so
I like it though. I like it.
so I have two new RAs here. Welcome. I'm super excited to have you on my two teams. And then
And to that fact, Anthony is the community director for that area, but I do live in 886. So if you do ever have any questions, let me know. Okay.
That was my one follow-up, is that don't be surprised when you get a duty call from Renati, because he
Yes.
is still on duty. Do not be
Yeah.
shocked.
I
He
didn't
lives on
ditch
campus and does
that responsibility. Not that I wanted to.
I mean, I wouldn't hate not being on duty if it meant that I got to live on, but I actually enjoy being on duty. So, except when it's cold, that sucks. But anyways, my name is Marquette. I use he, him, his pronouns. I'm the community director for State Lombard and Mayflower. So Hannah, Ariana, and Yvonne, you're with me. Super excited. Anthony mentioned the group me. I guess I'm a little ahead of the curve because all of you should be in the group me already. I know, I move quick. But yeah, I'm excited. It's going to be a fun year. Stalo Mays having, like I mentioned in our email already, we're having a lot of changes this year. A lot of partying going on in our building. So you guys are in for a fun ride. Hope you're excited.
Party, woo! Socially distanced with masks.
Not in Mayflower.
Let's stop it. Too soon.
Welcome. I was
go
going to say,
ahead.
you're skipping me, Jim. You're skipping me. You're
Oh,
going in
God, there's an
of
order. I'm
commanders.
sorry.
Unbelievable.
Sorry, it's just my large ego.
Well, my name is Erica Callahan. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I am up at SCRH Milton in 156. So unfortunately, I do not have any of you on my staffs, but I am excited to still get to know you, and I will be on duty just like Renati. So you'll still hopefully get to know me, even if it is at 2 a.m. when something goes awry and I show up to help you out. But I'm still excited to be here and to get to know you a little bit more.
Now, Jim, you can go.
All right, moving on. Next slide.
Hi again, I'm Jim Brennan. I'm the community director for Bell, Brown, Green, Gray, Suites, White, and Main. People were only hired for suites and out of all of those buildings. So welcome. If you are one of those people, you are the most privileged. Congratulations. Has nothing to do with me. It just has to do with the suites itself.
Definitely not.
We're a very supportive and loving team, as I'm sure you are able to notice by now. I'm happy that you all are here.
So that said, so yeah, I'm way to go, Marquette. I feel like a slacker now. I haven't added any of mine to the group me's. So if you all do not have the Group Me app, you should download it now, please. Does anyone not have it? Everyone's got it? Word. Okay. Your community director will email you requesting how that's going to be to add you. I think I can send you a link and then you can add into it. So I will send those to my RAs and then Jim can figure that out whenever he's got time. But that's how we communicate with you all. Pretty much like 80%, we will still send you emails and still please respond to those emails. But GroupMe, we use those for lockouts. So if you've ever called public safety and then an RA came to unlock your door, it's because someone sent them a GroupMe afterwards. And then just general conversation, not conversation, but like work-related business things. Sometimes that results in memes. It's fine. But of course, as I mentioned, make sure that we're always following those levels of appropriateness and we're not doing something that, again, we would be embarrassed to receive during an interview. And they're like, do you remember sending this? And then they're like, oh no. So just keep that in mind. Renate's got the fun one, Common Res Life language.
I do. So Common Res Life language, RCF is room condition form. I really almost like purposely messed it up to see if anyone would notice, but never mind. B&G would be buildings and grounds, great people. School dudes, Jim, stop. My bad, sorry everybody. School dudes would be the basically the platform that you would put in work orders and whatnot. You'll learn about that later. IR's incident report, PS, public safety. COC, you'll never see it written down as COC, but in like maybe in like an incident report, you'll see like a community director or something like that write down COC, and it just means counselor on call. So if ever you really need to call them, that's what COC stands for. BBs and DTs are bulletin boards and door tags. You learned a little bit about them already. CDM is community development model. I'm testing myself right now. This is crazy. And then kids. So we don't use this word kids. They're your residents or students. Using the word kids is a bit it's very belittling. And so you don't want to use that word. And then 1016, where the wellness center is located. It's right behind Bell Hall and next to the admissions building. So that's just a little bit of extra knowledge for you.
You don't have to write them down and make flashcards.
Yeah, you don't.
We'll use this language a lot. A lot of times you'll be able to use context clues. But of course, if you're like DTs, I don't know, because honestly, I know what door tags are, and I've been in this role for over a year now. But I was still seeing DT, and I'm like, Dileton toward? Like I don't know what that is.
But no, I didn't. Honestly, I knew bulletin boards and door tags, but like I didn't even know what. I saw BBs and DTs, and I was like, I couldn't tell you until I read it somewhere.
Right.
So, yeah.
If I can jump in again, sorry. One that I just thought of that we didn't think of while making the list is first year over freshman, which is very important. Has not just us here, but that's like a national movement to say first year instead of freshman, obviously because it is more inclusive, and we want to be as inclusive as possible always. So just try to train out. It's really tough, and like people still say freshman all the time, but first years is definitely preferred.
Going off that, another one, which like some like older higher ed people will get very upset. Dorms versus residence halls.
Yeah,
They are residence halls. They are not dorms. I mean, I'm never going to get upset at that, but like language matters. Absolutely. So just try and use residence halls instead. Easy way to remember that is we live in North Campus Residence Hall. We don't live in North Campus Dorm.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And like I know I said dorm, but I corrected myself to say residence hall. So
Right.
just try and stay on top of that.
but there's a million of them, and I don't want you to feel like they're like landmines, and one day you're going to say the wrong thing and it's going to be the end of the world. We're all learning. It's fine. If you call it a dorm, it's not the end of the world. Oh, okay. So I don't want you to see my emails. So questions. Do you have any questions? You don't have to have any questions, but if you do have questions, again, now's the time to ask them. But you can ask them later too. You can put them in the chat if you want to like go off mute and just talk. Go for it. If you still want to talk about cereal, we can still talk about cereal.
Well, just so we don't talk about cereal, because I do kind of have a little bit of a question.
Please.
So this was like the whole like when we were talking earlier about like, you know, the whole Co-Verified app and coming on campus. Because I order out a lot, like could DoorDash drivers still come and give me my food or like?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, they can.
absolutely.
I was like, please don't turn away like my food order from like Domino's. Like,
I'm pretty sure we would be more upset than the students would be.
Yes.
So.
just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, I was wondering about that one too. But like, there's no way they can stop like DoorDash and Uber Eats from coming on campus. So I'm sure they're working on a plan, but I'll get clarification about. Again, this will be one of those things where we ask Jen. But I just don't think it could change. We also had it happen last semester where some residents were putting in that their address was one of our neighbors' addresses. And so pizza was getting delivered to like a multi-million-dollar mansion. And the homeowner was like very upset and actually kept the food and wouldn't give it to the student. So don't do that, please.
I'd be happy. It's free food. Even though I'm rich, it's still free food. Like,
the students are like, he won't give us our food back. And he's like, yeah, it's mine. It got delivered to me. So yeah, canva.com, great website. Super easy. But again, if you've never used it before, I mean, you'll have to like learn, but like it's just drag and drop.
It's
and
very simple.
don't stress about it either. If you like, you're really having trouble and you just can't come up with anything, just let Jim know. And we do have some canned ones that I think they're the ones that I designed, which are very floral and fun. I originally called them ugly, but then everyone was like, no, they're great. I'm like, you're right. They're great. I'm amazing. Yeah. Any other questions at all? Pinterest is great for ideas. Yeah. I use Pinterest. Oh man, I have to make door tags too, don't I? Huh.
Wait,
Okay.
do the CDs live on campus?
Yeah. So we're all on campus right now. This is my wonderful apartment. I don't like working in my office too much because there's no windows and it's hot. But yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah, what's up?
So for when we move in on Monday, since I left things in NCRH, but I'll be going to Lombard, will I like within that time frame be able to go back and like get mine?
Absolutely. You'll have plenty of time.
Okay, that was also a question I had.
Yeah, that's a great question. We should. So there's more. So Hannah, you have things in NCRH. Mark, I know you had things in NCRH, of course. Does anyone else still have things in their old room?
I have things in Mayflower.
Mayflower. So reach out to your community director to let them know, like the one where your old room is, so that they know to expect you, have your key ready, so that you can then move out. And yeah, well, you'll have plenty of time. You'll have basically the whole day to do that transfer. Yeah, Mark, is there a better way to do this?
No, it's Ariana, Hannah, and Hannah, you're coming from NCRH. You're on your Mayflower to State, and then Ariana, what was your old building?
I'm 886.
Okay, so we'll just, we might have to do a little bit of running around, but we should be fine.
I have my stuff in suites.
I'll be here.
In suites, okay.
Yeah, so I would just suggest go to your old place first and reach out like to the CD of that area with like your general time frame of when they can expect you. They'll give you the old keys, right, to your, or open the space for you is probably easier because then we don't need to get the keys back. We'll open your old space for you, and then when you pack everything up and go over for your first trip, hopefully you can do it in one trip, you can get your new keys from your supervisor, CD.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And like, you know how we use little like card things to get in? Will like the change just like be made for us or whatever, like on the
Yeah.
Will be made for you. But actually, that's a great point that we can give you access to both for the one day, so that you're able to just go in and out of both the buildings if you need to do a few trips. So we can, Anthony, do you have all the information about where people are coming from, or? Okay, great. So we'll just do that ahead of time. So you have building access to both, but then we'll shut off your old one and you'll just have where you're living now and all of the access to the buildings that you are an RA of. So for example, in SCRH, they also have access to Milton and 156 because they do rounds there. So you might notice a little shift there, but we'll get you covered for the first day.
And that's a good point because we didn't really mention that too much in training. So for RAs who are going to be in multiple building areas, you will, yes, have permission to go into those other buildings, but it will only be during duty. So if you're responding to an incident, if there is a round, so if you live in Lombard, you are not visiting your friends at Mayflower. NCRH is easy because it's just NCRH. It used to be NCRH and Scholars, so we hope you would not be going into Scholars for any reason. 886, yeah, I'll be able to go into 874 and North, but only during duty. So just so that you're aware, we had some confusion at the start of last semester, and we want to make sure that we avoid that. So.
To that idea, it's also extra important if you lose your ID to contact PS as soon as possible, because if someone picks up your ID, they have a lot more access than they're used to. I mean, it happens sometimes, so don't be like mad at yourself. Losing your ID is a lot better than losing your keys. Don't ever lose your RA keys, losing your ID, whatever. You just pay like the, what is it, $25 or something for your new ID. I did it this past semester. It's okay. It wasn't okay. It was the first.
Well,
I still have my. Was that?
Losing the key or the ID?
The
Yeah,
ID. I wouldn't work here anymore if I lost the keys. I'd be fired.
Yeah,
So
those keys, you'll all be given access to keys that give you access to basically every room in a building. So
yeah.
Losing those is awful. So you'll get that talk later. I don't want to overwhelm anyone, but just make sure that when you get those keys, you take them seriously. I was a commuter, so no, you do not have to get a completely new ID. Access can be added to that ID super easily. It's just like a little keyboard situation that we'll figure out. So
we might need to double check that, because yes, you're correct about the access.
but yeah,
I
because it
believe
says
they're
commuter
printed.
on it. Yep.
I think
It
they
says
say commuter or resident on them. Yeah.
Actually, yeah, technically, because I think, don't the RA IDs say resident assistant on them?
I don't remember.
I thought they did.
I want to say that they may have like previously, but that's a bad idea, because then if you're fired, like burp.
Okay.
Please do not be panicking about being fired. You just got hired. Disregard Jim's comment. But it also, no, I don't think that you need, there's an RA specific card. I didn't hear anything about that, so that might have been from years past. But Zeno, we'll get back to you and anyone else who was a commuter previously about if you need to get a new card. And I don't think because we're hiring you, you need to pay. I think we just say, come on up. Yeah, I'm just double checking, but we'll make sure that you have basically access to do that when you get here, so that isn't like a weird holdover.
Any other questions, guys?
When will we know what our room is? Because like I've been waiting in the little icon thing.
That's a great question. That is so soon. I think Marquette can tell you whenever he knows. As for it being updated online, could take a little while, but like he can tell you.
I know you're on the second floor. I don't know what specifically the number is, but I know you're on the second floor, Yvonne.
Okay, thanks. I just wanted to know about stairs.
I love the smile. You're so happy. Yes, I don't have to go up to the third floor.
Off the top of my head, I know Hannah and Ariana are on the second and third floor. I just don't know which one is on which. I can look that up right now.
Cool.
You'll probably see it soon though, because I know that Jen has to submit like a final roster for billing purposes, I think by tomorrow. So.
Very cool. Any other questions? And of course, you don't have to have your questions now. We're going to add you to the group me's literally in the next half hour. So from there, you can group me your community director. You can email them. You can email us. We're happy to answer any questions. Like I said, you don't have to have all your questions right now. Literally, I'm happy when anyone asks me a question because I'm going crazy in my apartment. I don't talk to anyone. Ask all the questions.
So also another question for like duty, like is it scheduled for us or do we pick our hours?
So about every month, your entire area will get together during normal staff meeting time. Sometimes if like you need to pick duty immediately, like they'll be outside of those normal staff meetings, and you all have a Zoom conversation and you go down the line and people pick days. So we will need to pick duty on Sunday for, at the very minimum, the beginning of the end of January and maybe a little bit towards the beginning of February. We understand that like sometimes some class things will change early in the semester. So we won't probably not pick all of February at that time because like we want to let you at least get to your first couple classes and figure things out. And then it happens like every month. You just pick, and we try to make it as equitable and fair as possible. So, everyone picks a day and then you pick one day, it goes to the next person and it goes down the line. So at the end of duty picking, everyone will have sort of even numbers of weekdays and weekends. Duty, of course, is Sunday through Wednesday, 8 p.m. to midnight. It is Thursdays, 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. And it is Saturdays and Sundays, 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. And during duty, you have to be in the residence halls. You have to be awake. You have to have the duty phone ready to go. So there will be some late nights, but that's the way incidents work. Because if there's an incident and we need you to respond, we need you to be able to respond. You can't be like at the student center or off campus because then that response time goes from like 2 minutes to 20 and then it could be bad.
And again, you all have a whole presentation, an asynchronous presentation on duty. I do appreciate though, and we'll highlight once again, Anthony saying the duty hours. The video, it's the one error in the videos because they were made for last fall. The video will say Thursdays count as a weekday and go till 12 midnight. That is now changed to the 1 a.m. So ignore that part when you hear me say it in the video and remember this part now.
Jim, did any of the videos have Evan Kyra in them?
I think.
If they did,
I don't know. I think they're mostly you and me videos, right? Maybe.
I'm like 90% sure Evan Kyra did at least one video each. So if you all see videos that have Evelyn Dina and Kyra Tanchianco in them, they're our previous community directors. They're amazing. And they made those videos, but like all the data is basically the same applicable. But of course, if you hear something that doesn't match up or you have questions, write those down and you can ask your community director, or you can ask us when we meet synchronously.
You crack me up every single time you say synchronous or asynchronous.
Man.
My mother never got me hooked on phonics, so reading has been a little difficult for me. I'm sorry. Any other questions?
Negative.
Wonderful. Well, you are all free to go. You do have some asynchronous things to do. So again, tinyurl.com/what's the training website. It's all there, links and everything. It's a bunch of YouTube videos, super easy. Watch your favorite TV show and write an incident report about it. So a little decompression at the end, but thank you so much for your attention and your questions. And I'm looking forward to a wonderful semester with all of you.
And we will see you all tomorrow at 9:30 for incident report writing and community standards and accountability with Marshall.
Can't wait.
Thank you. You are welcome, Britt. Thank you.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
I don't know how to end the meeting.
Click leave.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, stop sharing your screen first. And
Yeah,
then
you're recording still.
All right. That went well.
I think it did.
I like them. They seem nice.
You're still recording.
I did my first
Is that
presentation.
okay with you? I wanted to keep it in there.
Oh, now everyone's gonna see this.
That's why I was saying it.
I can edit it out, but yeah, let's